what you get for acting like a fool.
Very excited. Comedians, podcasters, news people, running their own individual platforms to essentially be free from the chains of advertisement. Yeah. And as a result of being free from the chains of advertisement, they would be able to save the vast majority of what they wanted or be as unfiltered as possible. Right?
Yes.
I am now convinced that comedians and podcasters are just political tools, like everyone. I no longer think there's that same separation between mainstream media and independent media like I used to. I don't think that's true for all of them, but a good majority of them. And let me give you an example. We always talked about how, we do these platforms so we can say whatever we want. And now with this election cycle, everyone is being careful about what they say during interviews with Trump and Kamala, College Daddy or whatever. And they're doing what essentially is like puzzle pieces, right? Having these people on, giving them soft questions, never checking them on the record, never fact-checking none of it, just letting them yap about whatever they want. And the reason they're doing this is not because that's who they are. The reason they're doing this is because they would lose access to this interview. So I'm like, you guys spend all this time whining about mainstream media being so fake because of advertisers, but y'all doing the same thing so you don't get access to these powerful people, to these influential people. How is that any different? Yeah, in the context of watching Kamala Harris do the Call Her Daddy podcast, watching Trump do Rogan or flagrant launch stuff, and just watching all these different things. I don't think these types of interviews are bad in a vacuum. What I don't like is that now politicians are able to just jump around, do a bunch of interviews where they're asked softball questions and only do those types of interviews. Why is it that the world-renowned journalists are not the ones who are having as much access to these people? Like, even if they're independent, okay, why are they not getting access? But someone like Rogan is.
Looks like you're going up your money a bit.
Trump knows he's going to go Rogan, and it's going to go well for him because he just really has to sell his personality. Even though there's questions about his record, even though there's questions about his flip-flop and things, those never are going to come up. So he knows he can go on here and do really well for himself and come out great. And I know this is true because Rogan said so himself.
And by the way, I'm not a Trump supporter in any way, shape, or form. I've had the opportunity to have him on my show more than once. I've said no every time. I don't want to help him. I'm not interested in helping him.
The night is still young. We'll see.
If I have him on, the night is still young?
Yeah.
You think I'll have him on?
I think you'll have him on.
Really? Why do you think that? Because you'll have Putin on?
And I think you had people like Kanye on, for example, and you had a great conversation with him.
But Kanye's an artist. But Kanye doing well or not doing well doesn't change the course of our country.
Yeah, but do you really bear the responsibility of the course of our country based on a conversation?
I think you can revitalize and rehabilitate someone's image in a way that is pretty shocking. Look at the way people look at Alex Jones now. Because Alex Jones is on my podcast.
Listen, I watch Joe Rogan. I'm 34 now. I used to watch him. Okay? So you have to understand, I used to watch Joe Rogan clips all the time. It used to be like splits. There would be three people talking. It would be like Brian and Bill Gates. You get so many of them. You have to understand, Joe Rogan was completely different. His podcast field was completely different. His talks with Duncan Trussell were some of the best episodes. Now people watch for different reasons. The audience has gone in a different place. Joe has gone in a different place, and I don't watch him this much. But here's one of the best reflections Joe could have, and it's what made me really like him when I first saw him. He's right. I hear comics say all the time, like, why are people acting like we're influencing the election? Why are people acting like we have all this influence and we're changing things? Even Lex Friedman said that. Why do you think these politicians want to go on these platforms? If it's not influential, has no merit, why do they want to get on there? Why are so many of the public demanding and asking for this thing to happen? Why is it that brands come to you and pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars to advertise your product for 1 minute if you have no influence over your audience? Why is it that audiences will shell out thousands of dollars for meet and greets, but you have no influence? So when people say this, they think just because they're kikiing and laughing on this thing, they have no influence. No, when people spend hours of their day on a regular basis watching you, they build an attachment. They start trusting you. They take your opinions indifferently. They start to actually grab your opinions and repeat them in real life. You have a tremendous amount of influence, and Joe's no different. Now, if Joe just had a change of heart, he says, I think it's worth it because Trump is the best candidate now, that's fine. But anybody's pretending like these things are just jokes and we're just here to talk. No, you guys are also here to serve as a political platform during an election season. The reason why people are saying, whoa, Trump went on Roe, but he's definitely going to win now. Why? Because they're recognizing the effect. But at the same time, I have these people trying to convince me it's just jokes.
Check the drive. They got caught up with my
comedy club roasting Trump on his day. That's not what's happening. We're having a substantial.
When I get my shotgun, y'all fuck.
People have. And if you go read those comments,
oh yeah.
I really like purpose and make it closer. And whether you like it or not, most people when they vote, they don't really vote
come
on
up the
policies
stairs.
as much as people would like. A lot of them just vote on based on how the person makes them feel, how likable they are. So yeah, these things have a huge influence. We are
Young way. Yes, Dr. Wayne's. I love my husband. Forever.
Damn.
One of the biggest factors that impacts your AI readiness is your data storage. Learn how data storage affects each phase of the AI data pipeline in order to maximize your GPUs. Your success in AI depends on it.
The podcast, the commentary, that's the new media. It is. So whenever you go, politician basically wants to be likable. It's a popularity contest. So if that politician goes on the podcast,
Where?
they seem more right. They're just gonna talk to you. It ain't got nothing to do about the whatever. It's just how you like them better. So of course the image changes. If you look at the image, a politician looks like a what is being said about politicians? Yes. They're puppets. They're robots. There's just, they're not humane. And when you see a politician for once, just taking the script off, just having a normal conversation, you're like, God, damn, I really didn't. That's what you're changing your view on that position because it looks more humane, and that's the game. Yes, I'm gonna go on TV and all the journalistic outlets to talk about my curriculum and all the things that I ask, and the questions that I ask about that, what I want to do, running and stuff. But when I go onto a podcast, you're looking at the humane side, and I think that's the thing. People disengage politicians because they're really humane. You ask them a question, we can't answer the question straightforward. They always have a script and stuff. They always have something or like a way to escape the question. Now when they go on these platforms, you look at the human side. You don't even think about whatever they have to their curriculum. You don't even think about all of that. That's a personally likable human.
And you guys are more trusted than the average news anchor, than the average independent journalist. Even though those people are going to be generally more equipped to get to the bottom of whether or not this person's record's any good, whether or not this person performs under pressure. Instead, we're now hearing about fucking whale depression and whatever the fuck it is. It's like, what? Even watching Kamala on Call Her Daddy, it's like, what are these questions? It doesn't matter what you intend. What is the actual effect of what you're doing? If folks want to do this thing, have these conversations with these politicians, fine. But you have to hold their feet to the fire to some degree, okay? And if you're not going to, then we need to at least ensure that they're going to have other opportunities to have their feet held to the fire. But when it's just a bunch of puff piecing, when most of the landscape is just 3 hours of, I'm just going to talk, rather than 3 hours of, I'm going to answer to what my record is, why I voted on this bill at this time that disadvantaged these people, why I voted for this when I said I was going to do that. We don't get 3 hours of that. We never will. Why? Because what gets more votes nowadays is just sitting there talking about how I feel about X, Y, Z.
But also, I'm not well versed enough politically to know
The bastards out
like the corruption that's been alleged, and to understand what the whole Russiagate stuff, what's real. Like, if you really want to do that correctly, it's something that I would have to research for a long time. And to really, and I don't have that.
I think I've been having this reckoning lately, but more and more I feel reassured. Now let's see more people go to Madison Square Garden and said, Latinos, Puerto Ricans everywhere losing their mind. Which, right before our voting place, in that sense, the comment, this is it.
A lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys knew this. Literally, it's dark in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right.
Okay. And this is not out of context. I listen to the whole thing. There's no context that really makes the joke better or whatever it is. And people are running around saying, well, he's a comedian. It's just a joke. You're a different political tool. You're out of political value. Okay? And you're not doing a regular search. You're doing a set. And if you guys go watch the whole thing, I watch the whole thing. All of the jokes perfectly aligned with MAGA values. There was no jokes aimed at Republicans. There was no jokes really aimed at Trump to like mock him. No. They were all like anti-immigrant, pro-Israel, anti-Palestinian, anti-California, pro-Texas. Jokes are just jokes. Okay. But at the same time, the full set perfectly aligns with the idea of a Trump family, which is fine.
But don't make it past that. Stop. Just. I didn't know. No.
Oh yeah. Just starts repeating Trump's slogans.
Let's close it out. And, let's make speech free again. Make America healthy again. God bless New York. God bless America. Let's make it great again. I love you. Thank you. Welcome.
Not in a joke you said. I would just set a joke, but at the end of it, you're just doing a political advertisement. What is independent media really? Independent media is not. The idea was that you were going to be free from all this influence. Are they not just dependent on it when they're cutting what they want to say, just to be able to have access to people?
Same with this.
And this is the thing. Nobody can have all these kinds of mainstream guests on consistently and have their moniker of independence. Of noticing comics being very buddy-buddy with every right-wing personality on the planet and softballing all the interviews and softballing all the interactions. And what is the point of being given the right to joke about anything when powerful people come by and you don't joke anymore? Doesn't that strike you as a bit cowardly? It doesn't.
Body shots of a rook.
Just because of a list of things we're going to tell you. Talk about like the list of the PR list and stuff like that. So you have the choice. You either don't have it, or just go with the closed admin.
Essentially, what you're getting at is some compromise be acceptable because it's leading to these outcomes. What I'm saying is the compromise that they're making, they're only making for powerful people. What is the point of demanding the right to be able to joke about everything? It's only going to be used against legal people. If it's only going to be used against people who really can't harm you, then that's the part that makes me like, what the fuck are we doing? It's to be able to joke against trans people? Is that what we got this shit for? I mean, I was just so excited because at the advent of independent media, it really looked like such a cool time. Watching people talk about psychedelics, talking about relationships in an unfiltered manner, talking about men's issues, and not have to worry about it. I felt it was so refreshing to be able to hear topics that we never hear on television. So I loved about independent media. But now when I'm looking at it, it's just like, oh, okay, this thing has gotten so big that independent media is just media. There is no independence. You are dependent. You're dependent on Spotify for your shit. You're dependent on Patreon subs. You're dependent on the guests that you need to
3
interview.
minutes to get about this
There
bitch.
is no independence. Honestly, I'm not even certain if I can feel like there's that many independence now.
You can see. That's not. That's the thing. We're really talking about. It's anarcho. Yeah, it's not the same thing as doing the same thing. The end result is the same thing. You still have bosses that you have to go by. You still have to review your